Welcome back to BBB Adventures and the Builder Series at Frank's Place. I'm at Frank's Place, and it's been a long time since we put one of these out. If you're new, the Builder Series, which when available, we'll post on Wednesdays. It's intended to cover stuff we're doing here at Frank's Place and or building do-it-yourself type whatever, and separate from our normal Saturday releases, which are more of a vlog, more about stuff that we're doing, a lot of cycling on that part of the channel. So if you're new here, welcome. If you've been watching a while, you know that we started a Luna refresh. Luna is our 1962 Corvair Greenbrier camper van, and we started a refresh about a year ago. And the idea was get a bunch of stuff done to this thing by June to take it to the Corvair convention, which was in Wisconsin last year. Long story short, my father got sick, and we ended up having to deprioritize the Luna refresh. My father his health continued to decline. Yeah, last November he passed away. So I really haven't done a lot in the shop, a lot at Frank's Place, since I stopped working on the van. I think the last episode we published was a steering wheel restoration, and I was working on that while my dad was sick and while I was helping care for him. Anyway, I'm back at it. I've been working a lot, I've been filming a lot. That's what this episode's gonna be, is start to get that rolling again. Our goal this year is to get it done in time for RAGBRAI and take Luna to RAGBRAI. Now, I had a whole list of things, and if you want to go back and watch episode 1 of the Luna refresh, I go in detail about the things that we wanted to do as part of this project. I'm going to finish the things I started, which is get the motor back in, get the drivetrain in, running, tuned up, dialed in, and get it mobile again, get it driving. I got to finish the window. I've been restoring the fuzzies and the window channels because those were all 60-year-old rotten. So I got to get that finished. So I am not going to start any new aspect of that project till I get done with the things that are in play. Then I'm going to reassess how much of the rest of the list am I going to be able to realistically complete before June or July. And what are the things that are safety related? For example, I probably need to make sure that the front brakes are up to snuff and that the wheel bearings are packed, and I need to make sure that everything that is safety related, driving related, is up to date. But some of the stuff like repainting the top, which needs to happen very badly, can wait. I don't know if I'm going to get to the front suspension and steering rebuild before July. I'm just trying to be realistic, but I do want to get it on the road so that we can enjoy it this summer. So that's the sort of welcome back to the Builder Series. This episode is going to pick up on the engine where we left off, and we're just going to continue to release episodes as we work through finishing the tasks on the Luna refresh that have already been started. So here we go. Well, welcome back to Frank's Place. It's been a long time since I took any video here or even worked too much here. I have done a little stuff, a few things. I have done a few things. Luna is still up there on the lift. The engine's still here. I have done a few things to the engine. I've got the fan installed. I've got the engine cover. I got a dirty lens. I got the engine cover. I got the fan installed. This is just set here temporarily. I haven't finished bolting it up.
What's this? The engine cover?
The air shroud. But I've done everything I can with the engine in this position. And really what's next? Oh, let me tell you what I did over here. I spun these off. These are bearing retainers. You pull this thing out. Oh dear, oil's gonna come out of there when you do that. You pull these out, you spin these off. There's an O-ring in here, so I replaced those O-rings. I replaced the seal in here. I took this off and put a new gasket on the top. I put a new seal here on the shift rod, the shifter link, the shift rod. There's a rod down there somewhere. Oh, here, right here. I put a new seal on the shift rod because it was leaking. I put the new O-ring on this side. So basically, the differential and transmission are sealed. Are ready to go. So, got to get the engine back on one of these little carts so that I can marry the engine. It's probably not the right way to show that. So I can marry the engine and the transmission differential back up, and that'll get us close to being able to put it back in the car. So today, and I did, this is Mary Beth's Apollo, and I did adjust the belt and I washed it, and it was very dirty after our escaped the snow trip. So I got that done too. But anyway, today we're gonna get that engine on a cart. We're gonna do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. How's that? It's close.
Really lopsided.
Lopsided.
On this side of the table, it's
That's
going to go
okay.
like that.
No.
Now it's going to be lopsided the other way.
I don't know. If we push it out like this, while I let it down, it's going to be good enough. Okay?
Oh my God, I hope.
What do you mean?
I just see all sorts of things going bad.
Boy. Okay, now, we got to tilt it this way. This should be underneath it. And I'm going to keep lowering it.
Should we shift it?
Exactly how I imagined it would be.
Oh, oily.
I don't know whether it's front heavy or back heavy, so I don't really know where to center this or what. So I'm just gonna lift it up a little bit and see how stable it is. Looks pretty good.
It does. Here's your engine. Can you stop it right away?
Oh, that's the wrong way. Twisted that the wrong way.
Very slow. Yep. You're good. The engine's officially off the table.
Mary Beth was not nervous at any level. At no point during this process did Mary Beth get nervous.
Every level, I was nervous.
And just like that, the engine's on a stand and it's very stable. I took some measurements. I measured the height of the transaxle, which goes in here. And if we'd have used 2x4s instead of 4x4s there, the height would have been pretty close. So when we get ready to marry these two parts again, we'll have to lower the engine somehow. But what do you think, Disco? That's gonna be it for today. I just needed Mary Beth's help to get the engine off. We got lots of stuff going on, so we can't hang out at the shop, but I'm gonna get back here in the next few days and, well, my sister's coming to town.
It's, won't be here till next week.
Yeah, I probably won't be back till next week, but this was a big step, getting it off the table in order for me to finish this. Because we're on a new timeline, people. We're on the, just like when this whole lunar refresh started, now we're on a timeline because we don't want to take it to RAGBRAI. So yeah, no more excuses. I got to get going. So I'm going to procrastinate for the next 4 days, and then I'm going to come back. Back at Frank's place. It's Monday. I think last week was the last time we were here when Mary Beth and I got the engine off the table and down onto the stand. And today I'm back. Let's talk about what we're going to do. So I need to put the flywheel clutch assembly back in the bell housing before I can reattach the transaxle to the motor. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I've laid out the parts. This is the flywheel, the clutch plate, and the pressure plate assembly, which has the ring gear for the starter. Now I got these. This is an original style Corvair flywheel, and what you'll notice is that it's riveted together. And what could happen, or tended to happen, or was possible to happen, is that over time, with all the stress, that these rivets would wiggle loose, and then your flywheel would rattle and make all sorts of noise. And I don't know if they actually failed, but they caused problems. So I got this new resurfaced flywheel. I got it from Larry Claypool, and it is been bolted together. And experience tells us that these bolted together flywheels are mo better. So I'm going to put this new flywheel in, and it has a nice new surface for the clutch. So this is the flywheel I'm going to put in today. And I got a new clutch plate. Although if you look at the clutch plate, the old one, it wasn't really super worn. But, I mean, while you're in there, might as well put a new clutch in. And then I inspected this thing, and it's in good shape. So that's what we got to do. But prior to that, this is the shaft, like the one that comes out of, it's just like this shaft. It comes out of the transaxle. And at the end of the shaft is when you put the transaxle into the motor, it goes in here, and there is a pilot bearing in the crankshaft. This is the end of the crankshaft, and there's a pilot bearing in there. It looks like this. It's a sintered metal pre-pregnated bearing. So I need to get this one out, because while you're in here, you should always replace this bearing. It's super cheap, and why would you mess around? So the way you get that bearing, it's pressed into the crankshaft. So the way we're going to get that out is we're going to fill the cavity with oil. Then we're going to stick this thing in here, and we're going to pound on the end of it, and the hydraulic pressure as I push this thing in, as I hammer this thing in, is going to push that bearing out. Okay, now I think I got that cavity pretty well full of grease. I should just be able to put this thing in there and then pound on the end of it. And you can see that the bearing came part way out. I need to put some more grease in there. Good old hydraulic pressure. Okay. Well, that might be it. No, it's going to take a little more. There it goes. Popped it out. See that? Yeah, that works pretty slick. And you note that there's a radius. There's a radius side and a square side, and it goes in radius side out. It helps guide in the pilot. It guides in the end of the shaft to the pilot bushing. So, all right, I got this hole cleaned out. Here's the new bearing. You can see if you stick this in here, it goes all the way down to this. So I should be able to use this to drive the new bearing in, just like I used it to get the old one out. So I'm gonna start tapping this in here. Getting there. A little bit further. Okay, now that I got the pilot bearing in there, it is time to install the flywheel. I'm gonna have to clean this plate. I got greasy fingerprints on there, but we'll clean that in a second. Then there's this plate. All right, the torque says 20 to 30 foot-pounds. I got the flywheel torque spec from the official 1962 Corvair shop manual. However, it turns out the flywheel needs to be torqued much higher to around 50 foot-pounds. Unfortunately, all of this doesn't occur to me until way later. Now that I got the flywheel installed, it's time to install the clutch assembly. So I've taken that rod, the same rod I used to push out the pilot bearing, and I've slipped the clutch plate on it. Now, I don't know if you can read it, but on the clutch plate, it's stamped to flywheel. So stamped here, it says flywheel side. I don't know. But this is the side that goes against the flywheel. So to make sure this thing is all centered properly, put it on the splines of this shaft, then stick the shaft in the pilot bearing, like it's gonna be when the engine's all assembled. There we go. So now the clutch plate is up against the flywheel. Now I take the pressure plate assembly. I'm gonna put it on there. Line up the holes. There. And drop a screw. There, I get smart and stuck a shim under there. Help hold up the flywheel, or the pressure plate. Oh, I definitely have one started now. That's such good news. Two started. I'm on a roll. Okay, trying to torque these down. Now that the flywheel clutch pressure plate assembly is mounted, torqued down, it is time to move the transaxle over here and see how difficult it's going to be to get these two parts back together. Yeah, not good. Engine is too high. I'm probably going to have to jack the engine back up with the hoist and put it on and lower it. Yep, that's what I'm going to have to do. It's time to put the throwout bearing assembly into this deal, into this, so that we can try to marry up the two halves. The height is close. This obviously has to go in there, but it's not exact, but I think it's going to be close enough for me to manhandle this thing together. So, okay, I'm going to put a little grease on this nub. This nub is the pivot point for the arm that throws out the throwout bearing, and I'm just going to put a super light coating of grease on this surface. You don't want it too much because it's just going to get goobered up with clutch dust. So when you push in the clutch, it actuates the pressure plate, activates the clutch. Now that all looks pretty good. It's just as simple as sliding these two things together, getting the splines lined up. Come on now. Okay. I didn't turn the camera on, but I had the guys from next door come over and we tried to put this together. We tried for 15 minutes. I told them to get back to work. It wasn't working. So I called Larry and he said that a good way to do it, if you got two guys, is to take the input shaft out of the transaxle, which is what I did, stick it in the clutch, and then pick up the transaxle and carefully put it onto the shaft. And so that's what we're going to do. Goes inside because it's a Corvair, so the power from the motor comes through here, drives the transmission, which then drives the differential. So this thing goes right to the middle of the differential. But there's splines in the back.
So you can't get the splines in the back
Well, the splines in the back, the transmission's in gear, so I can wiggle this, and it'll turn the transmission. So, okay. So those are going to be, I think, way easier to line than this. We had a really hard time.
Okay. What'd you say, King?
Pick this up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There it is. That is awesome.
Well, what else you need?
That's it.
Just some slap ass and
I just
positive encouragement.
I just need some strength. All right, you guys. Thanks a million. Yeah. Grab a beer in the fridge on your way out, except you're working.
All right, man. Holler at us if you need us.
I really appreciate the help, you guys.
No problem. See ya.
Bye. Okay, now I'm going to try to get this the whole assembly back on this cart. But I think this is a challenge because I think the legs of this are too wide to get this cart underneath. I can't remember what we did, but yeah. The cart is too wide to fit in between the wheels.
Yes.
So we're gonna kind of pick it up, then I'm gonna pull it this way while you let it down.
It looks like it's already on it.
No, because if you look, the back, it's supposed to be touching in all the places, and that back support isn't touching anything. So I think it needs to go forward about 4 inches. Okay, now you're gonna pull? And I'm gonna let it
I
down?
don't know.
It's
It's not high enough. It's not far enough. It just won't, the range isn't far enough.
It's close, see?
Really?
Are you pushing on the cart?
No.
Make sure the cart's being pushed forward. I'm gonna push it just a little bit more. Okay, the front's about where it needs to be, so I'm gonna slowly let it down. Okay.
Okay, stop.
Oh,
Shit.
it slid. Sometimes I'm supposed to hold it. You want me to raise it more?
Yeah. Okay, let it down. Go faster this time.
Well, I don't want to go too fast. It's really close. How does it look?
Other than being askew.
Oh yeah, that's it. I think
Can we-
that's... I'll step it in the port. Well, I think that's it for today. Thanks to Mary Beth's help. We got the engine and transaxle all put back together. Got the engine on the stand. Now I gotta put the rest of the sheet metal on, put the starter on, miscellaneous things. Spin it around. Under the van it goes, drop the van on, snippity snappity snip. We're on the road.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I say about 15 minutes, we'll be ready to go.
All right.
Good morning. Back at Frank's place today. Yesterday, as you saw, we got the engine and transaxle back together. And look, they're apart again. Now you may ask yourself, that looked like it was really hard to put that together. Why would you take that apart again? Well, when I was driving home last night, for some reason, and this is the way my mind works, popped into my mind is, man, I torqued the flywheel to the crankshaft to 25 foot-pounds. And then I got to be thinking about, that's a really important connection. It is 25 foot-pounds doesn't really seem like a lot of torque. So I began to think about that. And then I got online when I got home, and I found 4 or 5 places that said, no, that torque should be 40 to 50 foot-pounds. So I'm like, why the hell did I not torque it enough? So then I went back today and I looked at the shop manual, and the Corvair shop manual, the Chevrolet shop manual from 1962, 61, 62, I found a chart, I'll show it to you here, that said, whatever it was, 20 to 30 foot-pounds or whatever, which is where I came up with the 25. But literally every place else, every manual, the Clark Corvair parts book, catalog, it says 40 to 50 foot-pounds. And so I almost couldn't sleep last night worrying about it, going, Jesus, if the flywheel comes loose, or if one of those bolts comes loose. So I decided it just wasn't worth worrying about. And at this point, it's pretty easy to take this thing back apart, retorque the flywheel, and then put it back together. And so that's what I've done. So I've got the pressure plate, I got the clutch out, there's the flywheel. I am going to retorque those bolts and then put this thing back together. I probably won't film it, but maybe some of you saw me torque that to 25 foot-pounds and said, dude, I don't think that's enough. So anyway, rest assured, I'm gonna retorque it, put it back together. So that's where I'm at. After retorquing the flywheel and reassembling the clutch assembly, It was time to put the engine and transaxle back together again. Too high, I guess.
Do you need to put that thing back on?
What thing?
The thing that fell off that you said you just want to fall
In a
off?
second.
We've made contact.
All right, I got enough of the bolts in and the bell housing that it's secure enough. Where'd you find these on? So now we're going to jack it up with the lift, with this thing, the cherry picker, and we're going to put it on the cart. We're going to put it back on that cart. So that's what we're going to do now. There it is on the stand. Now I just have to put all the sheet metal back on. And put all the accoutrements back on. The carburetors, the starter, the generator, all that stuff. Some of that I'm going to wait till it's in the truck because it'll be lighter.
What needs to go on before you put it in the van?
All the sheet metal so that we can make the seal.
Yeah.
All that stuff. All that stuff needs to go on.
Okay then. I'm gonna go home.
That's it for this episode of the Lunar Refresh on the Builder series. Please stay tuned for our next one when we work on replacing Luna's window channels and fuzzies. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the ride. Wear a helmet.